Just got out the gym. I can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just got out.
Oh, go get it.
Oh, what up, YouTube? I am your host, Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews, back in here with one more video. Today, joined by a very special guest, Gamal. Say what's up, my G.
What's up, YouTube? What's up? What's up?
I appreciate you coming by, man.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, man. It's been a while. I love these types of conversations that we're about to have, though, because you know, one of the things that I like to do on this channel, outside of all the dating stuff, is just be able to spread knowledge, spread knowledge and information. That's what it's about, man. You know, we are in the opportune time of our lives now to be able to spread knowledge.
Yes, sir.
So let's use YouTube in order to be able to do it. Anyway,
let's do it.
So you guys already know I have Purpose Talk playlists, I have Bag Talk playlists. This video right here is going to be a combination of the two, Purpose and Bag Talk. Gamal is a real estate guru, a real estate expert, and I had to bring him in here. So you see behind me, all of this that I was able to get, maybe I'll do a tour one of these days. Gamal had a lot to do with that. He helped me out significantly in ascertaining this condo that I currently live in right now. So I wanted to be able to invite Gamal to come through just to introduce, you know, some of the strategies that he's created. I know he's created a website, so we have to shout that out in a second. And just some of the methodologies of thinking through something that he does that's not only his purpose, right? And it's not your 9 to 5, you got another 9 to 5, but it's something that you do with your time that not only you love doing, but then it makes you money. And that's the sweet spot.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of viewers out there that are trying to find that sweet spot as well. So we're gonna get into it. So your website?
Yeah, so we got a website called the realestateretirementplan.com.
Okay.
We'll get into what it's about and kind of, you know, how that came about in a minute.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll get into it. So let's say I'm Joe Blow and I'm coming to you and I say, you know, Gamal, I have a little nest egg and I want to get into real estate. What are some of the things that I need to think about in order to make that decision effective?
Well, man, that's a big question because there's so many different things you need to look at. And it also depends on, you know, what type of real estate you want to get into. Some people want to get into, you know, fix and flips where their hands are getting dirty. Some people want to just do buy and holds. So there are different real estate strategies.
Now, when you say fix and flips, that's fixer-uppers, right?
Yeah,
you buy something low.
Fixer-uppers, or you buy it low, you add some value to it. You know, you may want to redo the kitchen, redo the bathroom, spend a little bit of money there, and then put it back on the market and sell it for a profit.
Got it.
And so it's a short-term type of strategy.
Got it. And then the buy and holds is that you wait for that appreciation.
Yep. You buy that property, you rent it out, you know, you hold it for eternity. You just collect rent checks.
Yeah. And if I ever move out of here, that's what I'm planning on doing in here, because I think real estate's gonna go crazy in this area.
But the other thing I'll say is a couple of things that you want to think about if you're thinking about getting into real estate. You have to, a lot of times people just, you know, real estate is something that's making money. I just want to jump in and start doing it. The things that you really have to understand is, are you ready? Are you financially ready? And in order to buy real estate, investment real estate anyway, you need to have a decent chunk of change in order to do that. If you're buying a property, an investment property, you need at least 25% as a down payment. If you're buying a home, like a first-time home buyer, you can do one of those 3 to 5% down. So if you're buying a property for $100,000, 25% of that is 25 G's. Right. So you're going to need that out the gate, and that's just the minimum you need. You're going to need an extra buffer zone in order to, you know, if there are things that you need to fix. You know, you need to have, you know, extra money aside in the event something happens. You can float that mortgage over time. So the bottom line is the first thing you need to understand is what's your financial situation like in terms of how much money do you have available. You also need to do some research on where you want to invest. Is it something that you want to do locally, or do I want to buy something out of state that is more affordable? Because if you think about, if you live in states like California, New York, the coastal cities, you know, prices out there are crazy. So a lot of people in those cities, you know, they're coming to the Midwest, they're going to the South to buy investment property. So we talked about one, being able to understand your financial situation. Do you have enough money or capital saved in order to do that? The second thing is you need to look at how much debt do you have. So if you have a lot of debt and you're kind of paying a whole lot of credit card bills and all these other things, all for all you shopaholics out there that may be just spending money and racking up debt, you really need to understand, what your debt situation looks like, because you may be best suited to pay off some of those, the debt that you have before you actually start investing in real estate.
So, so I was loving what you're saying as far as making sure you you understand your debt to income ratio, because I feel like real estate is one of those buzzwords, right? And I don't know, I already know what you're going to say to this, but me, I'm not planning on working until I'm 65, 60, 55. Like that is not my goal. That is not my plan.
No, sir.
I want to be able to get to enough passive income opportunities where I can coast at a certain age, and then maybe I could do something else that's more aligned to my purpose, whatever I define at that age. Even though I feel like I'm pretty good on my purpose right now.
Yeah.
So but what I hear you saying is, understand that debt to income ratio, and then understand the total cost of ownership.
Yep.
Right? Like, so whether or not you're doing the buy and hold or the flip and trick or whatever you called it, it's it's understanding. Because one thing that we talked about is, if you're doing the buy and hold, you also need to budget in time period that no one is in your spot.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and it clicked in my mind, like, well, yeah, you need to, because you may not have access to that income depending upon the leasee's situation. You know what I mean? So it's good. I think you're bubbling up a lot of things that people may have not thought of before. But kind of switching directions. So how did you figure out that, like, real estate, and we'll come back into the financial side of it. Like, how did you figure out that real estate is something that it gets you up in the morning, right? Because it's a lot of work, and talk through like all of that work as well, because I think it's important.
Yeah, people know that.
Yeah, because it's a buzzword, right? Stock investing is another buzzword too. Like, just stock market, but another one is real estate investing. So, but I think it's important as someone who actually does it, if you could talk to that ethic, or why it drives you, or why you're passionate about it.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I worked in financial services for about 15 years, and during that period of time, I've been fortunate to kind of engage with people that are on opposite ends of the financial spectrum. So people that, super rich, have millions of dollars in their bank accounts, and then other people that are like overdrawing their accounts every week. Yeah. And so one of the things that I saw as a commonality between the people that had a lot of money was they had a lot of real estate, right? And so, back then I'm looking at it, how do I get that? Yeah. And so I started doing a lot of research on it, and my wife, I was dating her at the time, and we were in New York at the time, and she owned a duplex apartment there, and that's just kind of one of the things that we talked about. She was in it, and she started showing me some of the benefits that she was getting from real estate. I'm like, man, this is certainly a way to go. And so we started getting into real estate, and we did a deal and made about $50,000 just off the top. Woo. And I was like, whoa, this is real. This is real.
That was flipping.
That was one of those flip deals that we did. And I'm like, man, I want to do this forever. Let's go.
And this was in New York?
This was in New York.
Okay.
And then we did another deal, and we lost about 40 grand. And so I'm kind of sharing that to say, real estate is a game that goes up and down. And if you don't really know what you're doing, you could win, but you could also lose everything you got.
It's the same thing in anything that there's a degree of risk. Stock market as well. I mean, you can go in and feel like you're 100% sure that something is going to, go in your favor, and then But at the end of the day, so can you talk through, if for that specific interest, that specific example, what about the $50,000 deal worked in your favor, and what about the $40,000 deal did not work in your favor?
So the $50,000 deal, we were just, we did a lot of marketing, and so we marketed to people that, didn't live in the home, and we got someone that just really wanted to get rid of the house. they had a family member that was living in there that was kind of mooching off of them, and they just wanted to sell the house. And so they were motivated, and we offered them a ridiculous price and thought, they probably aren't going to bite, and they did. And so, we got the property there. At the time, we didn't really know what we were doing, so we made a ton of mistakes, and we still made a chunk of money. On the property that we lost money on, we got more experience along the way, but the market kind of turned in the opposite direction, and because of that, we just kind of ate a loss, because that was close around the 2008 timeline, and so during that time, the property prices just kind of collapsed.
So it was a timing.
Yeah, so it's a timing thing, and that's one of the things that you got to factor in if you're getting in. And now the market's like very similar to back in the 07 when prices were like elevated, and we don't know what happens now going forward, but that's one of the things you got to consider. Where's the market headed, and what price do you pay?
Good. All right. Well, let's talk through. What was your, let's say, top 1, 2, or 3 biggest learnings engaging on this path and this journey towards financial independence?
So one of the things I learned as I went along this journey is something called the income transformation model, and that's kind of one of the things that I've coined, if you will, and it's focused on looking at what your active income is. So there's active income, money that you earn from your day-to-day job, and the goal is to increase that active income as much as you can. But the critical part about that is then how do you transfer that active income into what we call passive income? So where you don't have to work for that money to come in.
Right.
Active income, you got to get up every day, you got to go to a job, clock in, and work for that money. And so converting that active income to passive income is what was a big revelation for me.
Yeah, that's it. Hold on, can we just stay there for a quick second? Because this is bag talk coming at you real quick. This is because I say it in so many different ways on the channel, but when I hear other people say it, let's just stay there just for a quick second. Cool. Because there's a lot of people, So I don't know if I think but a lot of the content on my channel is this dating stuff.
Right. And I've seen quite a bit.
You've seen it? Okay, cool. So with the dating stuff, one of the components obviously is taking women out on dates. Yeah. And I cringe every time that I hear, like I had a young lady here a couple weeks ago that was talking through how a dude spent $500 on a date from her. And I see like down in the comments, I'll get some women that are down there that are calling me a dusty, which is hilarious, by the way. They call me a dusty. They call me all these things because like it's not in my wheelhouse to be able to do that, or like I'm so focused on my finance. But that's the reason I am focused on my finances, is because a lot of people that look like us only understand active income. Yes. They wake up, they go to work, and they do it all over again forever until they're 6 feet under. Yeah. But there's another lifestyle. It's maximize the active, the revenue that you can bring in, reduce the cost going out. So no $500 dates on a chick that you don't know. Stop that. Stop that.
Even if you know her.
Even if you know her. Right, even if you know her. Stop that. Stop that right now. And it's because you could take that extra money and then put them in the passive income opportunities. Yes. It's not about the short game. It's about the long game.
And I'll tell you, man, the thing that people don't understand is sometimes, you talk about maximizing your active income. I'm in a job, I'm making 100 grand, and now I found another job, I'm making 150 grand. What's the first thing people go out and do?
Spend more.
Yeah, they increase their lifestyle.
They
increase the lifestyle, and that just keeps you in that keeps the chain on you, right?
The ball and chain.
Yeah, that's it.
Yanking you down.
Yeah, and so the goal there is to kind of convert that active income into passive income. So that's the one thing.
I did a video on that not too long. It's crazy.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah, it's one of my first bag talk videos. I talked about, it's one of the basic concepts, because you make more money doesn't mean you need to spend more money.
No.
It's so true. There's so many other things to be able to save your money, put your money into, like even if it's not these passive income opportunities, which is much risk as a stock market or real estate.
Right.
But it's like max out your 401k, max out an IRA.
Yep.
Max out a Vanguard account. There's so many other things and ways to do with your money that will give you a output later in life. And you sitting there and you kicked up on on as many vacations that you want to take. Everyone around you is comfortable. I'm gonna go into a video on, and a lot of people need to see this. If you invest money into one of like these Vanguard accounts, one of these kind of passive accounts, for 30 years at a 6% return on, which is average yearly return, what that turns out to later in life. And a lot of people don't understand that you can get into millions of dollars by investing a couple $100 a month. A lot of people don't get that.
A lot of people don't get that.
Yeah.
And you just talked about something that kind of sparked something I want to share. So, when people invest in real estate, right? The first thing they think about is, I buy a property. They're going to buy a rental property, right? And they buy this property for $100,000, and it's giving them $1,200 a month in rent. The first thing they're thinking, oh, I'm going to get $1,200 in rent in my pocket. And they don't clearly understand that there are expenses associated with that. Right? It's not $1,200 going in your pocket. So that's one thing. So there are different things that are going to have to come out of that. So there's taxes, insurance, expenses, property management, all that stuff that comes out of it.
Right.
And then what's left is what you get. And then I find a lot of people, when they go through that process and they see that 25% we talked about earlier, that they got to come out of pocket, and they're only left with $200 a month after spending all of that, they get discouraged and like, I don't know if I want to do this.
Right.
And so I would encourage you to go for the long game, because rental income is only one aspect of how you make money in real estate. Right.
Tell them the others.
There are three others. There's appreciation. There are different types of appreciation. There's forced appreciation, where you add value to a property. So you go in, you add value to it. The value of the property was $100,000. You spent $10,000 on it, and now it's worth $150,000. So you just created some value from adding value to the property. So that's one thing. Plus the property is going to increase in value over time. Just with inflation.
Yep.
The second piece is depreciation, and this is why a lot of wealthy people invest in real estate, because the depreciation that they can get offsets a lot of the income that they currently make. So high income earners, they dump a lot of money in real estate because they could depreciate the asset, and that offsets how much they pay in taxes.
Oh, got it.
So that's a big piece of it.
Wait, so let me go, because this one is a little bit more confusing to me. They dump money in the asset that's depreciating to save money on taxes.
Right.
So because it doesn't show up as taxable income.
So let me break it down. I didn't know how deep you wanted to get into it.
Yeah,
but I'll break this one down quickly. So let's say you make $100,000, right? And your taxable income, you're at the 30% threshold. What's going to happen is if you have an investment property and you do the depreciation on that, when you file for depreciation, you can take the amount of the depreciated asset and reduce your income.
Your taxable income?
Yeah, so if you depreciated a property by, let's say, $5,000, $5,000 would be deducted from your $100,000, and now you'd only pay taxes on $95,000.
Got it.
So that's a whole class on that.
Yeah,
but
it's a wealth building tool though.
Yeah.
Because if you do that enough times over enough years with enough assets,
properties, right?
Yeah, then
you could reduce a lot of your income.
Right.
Your income tax.
Right, like every 5 to 7 years, you're making a yearly income just off of what you depreciated.
There you go. But it's not something that you a lot of people realize or understand.
Yeah.
And that's just another aspect of how you make money in real estate. The other one, we talked about appreciation, we talked about depreciation, we talked about the rental income, and then the one other one is as you pay down, it's called amortization. So as you pay down the mortgage on a property, the equity that you build up in it is increasing. So every month that a tenant pays you rent and you pay the mortgage, someone's paying that mortgage for you. You're not paying it. Right. And so what that's doing, it's paying down how much you owe on the property, which is increasing the value or the equity that you have in the home.
Right.
So there are different facets of how you can make money using real estate, but a lot of times folks just think about the rental. income piece.
So can you also talk about, so there's also a rental piece for personal renting, but then you've also talked to me about commercial as well.
Oh yeah, commercial is a whole nother level.
So when we say commercial, can you define?
Yeah, there are different types of commercial. So there is commercial like office buildings, but there's also multi-family commercial. So a residential apartment building that's 5 units or greater is classified as a commercial property. And the reason that is so powerful is because I'm going to try to break this down as simple as possible. Sometimes it takes a long time to explain it, but commercial properties are valued on the income generating ability of the asset versus a residential property is valued on what the market value of the property is. The power in that is if you have a commercial property and you bought it for $100,000 and that property generates $20,000 in income. If you go in there and you're able to raise rents through, renovating the property and putting, better amenities in there, you can charge higher rents. Because you've increased the income generating ability of that asset, the value of that asset significantly goes up. And so a lot of people are shifting to multi-family buildings and kind of transferring a lot of their money there. And I don't want to get into the details of that, but our people, a lot of times we don't really understand the power of investing in assets like those. And I would just tell everyone, man, if you are interested in real estate, education and educating yourself is the first step in understanding it. Because if you're not educated and you don't have enough information, you're going to go out there, you may make some mistakes and then think, hey, real estate doesn't work.
Right. Is that a resource that they can find that type of information on your website?
We don't necessarily have we have some blog posts and so on, and we're continuously adding different resources to it. But I'll tell you, there's a great resource called biggerpockets.com.
I'm subscribed to that. There's a YouTube channel too.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They got a podcast, and Bigger Pockets is the podcast that has just about anything on real estate. You can type it in and get it.
Yeah.
Get some type of answer about it. So I'd encourage you to go out there and check it out.
Yeah, you told me about that resource, and I did a lot of research on that website, on that YouTube channel, even before I made this home purchase. So another thing that just popped into my head is that even before you helped me with this home purchase, you told me about the duplex strategy. Can you give that last tip?
Oh, absolutely.
And then what? Because I think it's brilliant. I just didn't pull it off for whatever reason, because I saw this place and I loved it. And I fell in love.
Yeah,
you saw,
we debated.
We debated it. Yeah, I walked in. You saw my face light up when I walked in. I said, "Oh, this is
it."
Yeah, this is it. This is it. However, if you could give them that duplex tip, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, it's called house hacking. And so essentially, we talked about financial freedom a little bit. And one of the biggest expenses we have as individuals is rent expense or a mortgage payment. And so to circumvent that, we have the strategy called house hacking, where essentially you buy a duplex property, you live in one side, right, and you rent the other side. And typically what happens is when you rent the other side, it pays for the mortgage, the entire mortgage. So you're basically living rent free. And oftentimes it pays you to live there. So not only does it pay your rent or mortgage, it also is giving you extra cash in your pocket at the end of the month. And if you're eliminating the biggest expense that you have, that's kind of increasing your cash flow, increasing the amount of money you can take and transfer into whatever else you want to do.
Yeah.
So that's a powerful thing, man. So
And I was in like. So what it is for me is the distance from where I live to where I work. And the location that I live at right now. Like I'm at a central location, but in order to get a duplex, I would have to go out a little bit. So I had to, but at the same time, man, if I could get rid of a mortgage payment, my God,
that is
crazy.
That is it.
It's my biggest expense.
And I'll wrap up with this last a story around. It's called the power of compounding, and I told you, when people get into real estate, sometimes it's a slow game. You only make $100 or $200 a month in rental income from one property, but if you go out to Vegas, right, And if you go out to Vegas and you won, a crazy amount of money, and they told you have two options. The first option is, I'm going to give you $3 million to walk out the door, or I'm going to give you a penny doubled for 31 days. What do you choose?
I got to do the math on the penny doubled for 31 days first before I walk out.
Yeah, you got to do the math. Most people like, oh, cash money, $3 million right now. Let me get it, right, and walk away. But a penny doubled for 31 days is $10 million.
Oh, yeah, that's what I choose.
It's $10 million. Right. But the process of doubling from day 1 to day 20, it takes a long time before you even start seeing anything. The first 10 days, you're under $10. And you might be thinking, this is a wrong choice. I should have taken that $3 million. Right. But the point I'm making here is real estate is a long game. And so that 31 days of penny doubling, if you stick with it, once you get to day 28, day 29, you're going to start to see the benefits, and it's just going to snowball after that.
Right. Oh, I love this example, yo. I love this example because it's one thing that I try to hit on this channel is the difference between short-term and long-term gain. Yeah. And I hate to think of it in this way, but I feel like with some of the things in our culture, we're breeding a society of people that love instant gratification. It goes back to the social media, it goes back to, participation trophies in a lot of these kids' sports, right? It's just some type of gratification. People just love it. They love to click that button, see the new post, see how many likes that they get, and it's that instant gratification. Yeah. But what if we told you that there's ways that you can invest in yourself? And it could be the knowledge of real estate. It could be the knowledge of stock investing. It could be the knowledge of something that will get you way closer to your purpose. Although you don't see the output today. Yeah. Although you don't see it today, even though when you post up that fire-ass photo of what you did last night, you may see the output today. Imagine investing in something that tomorrow, the day after that, years later, you're getting a return on your investment beyond your wildest dreams. And that's really what it comes down to. This financial independence lifestyle is achievable for people that look like us. Absolutely. And I feel like we got to get ourselves of the mantra of I do this to survive. I wake up, I go to work, I do this shit, I go home, and then I do it all over again until I die. It shouldn't be that way. And there's so much information. There's so much information out there to teach you how it cannot be. You know what I mean? So, all right, website, one more time.
Website is therealestateratementplan.com.
Go out there. I'm going to leave a link down in the description. Go check it out. Show love. Questions, comments, concerns, leave them down in the description box down below. Gamal.
Great seeing you again,
hey, man. Great seeing you, man. I appreciate the knowledge, man. Once we get some questions rolling in, we might have to double back and go back into this, all right?
Absolutely.
I appreciate you, bro.
Cool.
Until next time, YouTube. Sorry, I got an outro as well. Peace!